everybody, welcome back to Rankin to the Rescue. You might be wondering why I have gloves on. I'm not doing surgery. Not yet anyway. I'm actually having some Irish breakfast tea. It's good stuff. Kind of gotten hooked on it. What we're doing today is we are making beef jerky. Oh man, it's good. So if you make it yourself, it's so much cheaper, and you can make it like you like it. Excuse me for eating. All right, so the last two batches are getting slim. I made the original Ranko recipe, and this was like a teriyaki Heinz 57 kind of deal. Today we're going to do something different. Hope it works. We'll see. Gotta go to the fridge. Be right back. Alright. So, I've got some Peter Luger Steakhouse Old Fashioned Sauce. We're going to do a Peter Luger jerky. And then, I'm going to make my basic standard, but we're going to add a little Dale's seasoning to it, which is really nice. I've done it before. I did one that was like a complete Dale's. That's all it was. But I'll tell you what my basic recipe is. All right. So basically my basic recipe, hold on. This is a must, Liam Perrins. I do a cup of this. It was based on how much meat you cut up. Usually like what I've got here is, this is 2 pounds, and I got 2 pounds in the fridge, so I'll do 2 pounds of one, 2 pounds of the other. For that much, which this is a London top broil. Got this from Publix. Nice cut of meat. So, what I like to do is put it in the freezer for about 45 minutes to an hour and let it firm up so it cuts better. So, little Irish breakfast tea. All right, so my regular recipe, back on point. A cup of Liam Perrins, a cup of soy sauce. The rest of these, I just you experiment with your taste. Garlic, I usually do maybe a tablespoon. Sometimes I'll do 2 teaspoons. It just depends. Black pepper, onion powder, and I like a little liquid smoke in mine. You don't have to do that. I just a couple of dashes of liquid smoke. You can make anything. Beef jerky is super easy to make. You can put anything in it. So, that being said, I'm doing a little different recipe today. So what I like to do is put my marinade in a bag, and then I'll put something under it so that if in the refrigerator this bag leaks, I don't have jerky juice all over my refrigerator. All right, so I think to get a better view for you guys, I'm gonna change my camera angle, and we'll be right back. All right, so this will be a pretty good angle. You don't need to see my face anyway, right? We don't need that. So while this is still a little bit frozen, it's not frozen. I mean, it's just, so it's firm, all right? So you don't really want it frozen, you just want it firm. Max is walking around down here because he thinks he's gonna get something to eat. All right, so we're not gonna go through all of this, but we'll go through a little bit of it. So what I usually do is if there's a huge line or a stream of fat, I'll generally take it out. This one's not too bad. It's got one little section here along the side, and I'll take that out sometimes and then just cut it and use it for other stuff. I mean, I'll still use that meat. I'm just getting that fat grain off there so that I get all this really good straightforward here. So, because that's already coming apart. All right. So, a lot of people will cut with the grain, across the grain. You can kind of do whatever you want to. Sometimes if you cut across the grain, it's a little too stringy, so I kind of go diagonal across the grain. And again, I'm just trying to trim off some of this excess fat, but anyway. So when I start cutting my pieces, yeah, see, this is across the grain, so you'll get kind of this, see how that's kind of that grainy texture? It will taste delicious and be super fall apart in your mouth that way. So I think I'll do this batch, go ahead and cut it that way. Sometimes it's a little harder to keep it together when you do it like that. Now you can slice yours as thick or thin as you want it. I like, can you see that thickness? About like, it's like a thick piece of bacon. And to put these in the marinade, I may cut them in half. I hear you, Max. I understand, bro. So I might cut them, you know, so that they're pieces that long, right? All right, I'm gonna continue. All right, so we're back. So what I've decided, I've got all my meat cut up. Because I've never made jerky with this Peter Luger sauce, I'm not gonna do all of this, because if it turns out great, that's awesome. I can always make more, but I don't wanna ruin it, okay? So also, this sauce is really, really thick. Okay, well, it's not terribly thick, but I may add some water to it. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in here. Yep, I'm gonna use the whole thing. I want all the meat I do. I think I'm just gonna do half, like half of this, and then I'm gonna do probably this amount of meat again in my regular recipe. So what I'll do is I'll just put enough water in here to wash this thing out. Like that. I may not add all that back. That's not bad. We'll put it in there. It'll be fine. Jerky is totally an experiment. There is no, so I'm gonna take half of this and go ahead and put it in here. All right. So what I like to do at first is, if I can get the bag to fold over, here we go. I like to seal it with some air in there, okay? That way at least I can move the pieces around, and that way I make sure everything's getting coated. A little more air in that bag. All right. All right. So now, what I do after that is I like to get a lot of the air out of the bag. That way you know there's obviously less oxygen in the bag, and more contact. So I'll put that right there. That's my Peter Luger section. All right, for this, we're gonna do something different. Let's just do the Ranko's original. And it's different every time, so it's not like it's some super special thing that secret I'm giving away. So I always take the little topper thing out of the Worcestershire because it takes you 6 hours to pour up what you need. If you don't, that one's dead. But we got plenty more. Costco is great for buying bulk for stuff like teriyaki, soy sauce, Worcestershire, stuff like that. So we're gonna do, I don't know that we need as much as I normally use, but it's okay. Mainly you just wanna have enough marinade to cover whatever it is you're doing. So what I like to do is I'm gonna do a cup of that, and we'll pour that in our bag here. We'll set it back over there. Now, I'm gonna use soy sauce, and this is just regular soy sauce, and it can be a little salty. So what I'll do sometimes is I'll just do that, and I'll add a little bit of water to it. Costco doesn't, at least I haven't been able to find that they sell the low sodium. So I just add a little bit of water. All right. So now, let's see. There we go. Teaspoon. So what I do is one, let's do two. I like garlic. We'll do 2 of those. Let's do a heaping one of the onion. And then we'll do some black pepper. And again, this is to taste. So when you make yours, you may want something different. Now, a little liquid smoke. I use this sparingly, I'm gonna be honest, because you'll put it in your dehydrator and it will stink up the entire house. So this little tool is awesome for mixing. So what I like to do is go ahead and mix all these and get them into solution. Just that way you know ahead of time what it's going to taste like. I've also put yellow mustard in mine. I've put all kinds of different stuff. So what I like to do is I like to pour it in down there, and then what I'll do is just put a spoon in it. That's pretty good. All right. So now we'll throw this meat in. And I got to get a Sharpie so I can label this so I know. The Peter Luger stuff is kind of orange looking, so that won't be a problem. But when I make my other one, because I'm going to do the Dales, and I may just do this Dales straight up. We'll see. All right. There we go. Squeeze out a little bit of air there. See if I got a Sharpie in here. What do you know? We'll just put original on this one. Let's just put Ranko. All right. So we know what that one is. All right, guys. Well, I got to cut up some more meat, so we'll be back in a second. All right, we're back. I've got my second batch of meat cut up. We're going to use some Dales, but it's the low sodium. Just try not to load down with sodium. I mean, there's tons of sodium and everything else that's in here, so if you can. So this stuff is a little thick too, so I will put a little bit of water in here just to wash out the container and thin up the sauce a little bit, the marinade. And then I'm actually going to add kind of my own little hit to it. I think I will probably like a little more onion and just a hair of garlic in there. And I didn't use that pitcher because I didn't want to, or that measuring cup, and didn't want to wash it out right now. So the good part is, hey, where'd my gadget go? There it is. I can mix right in the bag. And we'll see what that tastes like. Oh wow, that's pretty good. All right, we'll load this one up. This might not be enough marinade for this to cover all this, so I may make some of it as my original recipe because I can just add more soy sauce and stuff to it. So that may be what I do. Let's see here. We'll put a little bit more and then I'm going to put the rest in my original recipe. So let's zip this shut. Yeah, there'll be enough to cover it all. But not, if I put much more in there, there would be. So, that should be good. We'll just write Dale's on this one so we know what it is. Alright. So now that I'm going to add back to this one, not a big deal. Let's just make up a little bit more of my original kind of concoction. So we're not really measuring this. We're just going to kind of wing it. Probably don't need any more liquid smoke. We'll just do that. And we'll do this. And actually, I may put a little bit of, I got a little bit of honey. Oop, got a little bit of honey here. What the heck? Let's put a little honey in there. Beef jerky. Obviously with that honey in there. Need to mix that up. All right. We're cooking now. All right. Better taste it. Good. Maybe needs a little water. It's a little salty. And salty's fine. You're not going to get it all because once we I will tell you this, when you put these in the bag, all this meat's going to want to stick together. So initially it is super important to leave some air in the bag as much as you can keep in the bag. And really kind of knead, because a lot of these pieces of meat will want to stick together. And if you don't do this, by the time everything marinades, you'll pull stuff out and start laying it on your dehydrating racks. And it'll look just regular like pink meat where it hasn't been in contact with the marinade. Now, alright, so we're ready to let this marinate. Some people do 2 hours, some people do 6 hours, some do 8 hours. I usually 24 hours with mine. And what I'll do is, basically every time, hold on, let me unglove here. And let's see if I can do this out without tearing anything up. Let's level that camera out a little bit. All right, so now we've got all of these in this container, so if anything springs a leak, not a big deal. So what I do is every time I come in the kitchen for whatever reason, I'll come in, take the bag out, each one of them. Just knead them a little bit so that they, right? You just want to make sure that everything's really well coated. So I'm going to go put this in the fridge. All right. My girlfriend's going to be happy when she gets home. She loves beef jerky. So we put that in there, put the beef jerky in there. So that's gonna stay in there for 24 hours. And then we'll come back and I'll show you putting it on the racks, and then we'll put it in the dehydrator. All right, well, see you in a little bit. All right, welcome back everybody. So it's been 24 hours. We've got all our marinated different. We got our Dale's sauce, we got our Peter Luger, and then we got the Ranko's Original. So that's all been marinating for 24 hours. I'm gonna show you what I do to get it ready to put in the dehydrator. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, so now let's put on some gloves. I just like to work with gloves. Less hand washing, and gloves are cheap. Easier to take on and off. All right, so I like to take a little aluminum foil, just lay that out, keeps my cutting board a little cleaner. And then what we're gonna do, I'm gonna lay out a little paper towel, because we're basically just absorbing the excess marinade. So obviously I'm not gonna do all of this on camera, because that would be extremely boring to watch, but I'll do a little bit of it just to kind of show you how I lay it out and what the process is and all that. So basically all we're doing, this is the Dale's steak sauce version, steak marinade. So basically all I'm gonna do is take these, and I've got some kind of thicker cuts I did this time just for fun. There's both thick and thin, but I did some thicker ones, so they'll take a little longer in the dehydrator, which is fine. And then what you want to do is just lay them out so that you can dry them off and get the excess off, because you don't want your dehydrator to have to work longer than it should. So you don't want to, and the problem is if you don't do this, all this is going to drip down into your dehydrator and you're going to have a mess. So what I do is just layer this on here and you'll get the idea. So we'll just do a layer, and then so this is what I would do. All right, so I got a layer of this. I'm gonna pull off some more paper towel. You're gonna use quite a bit of paper towel to do this, but so you're basically just gonna get the excess. Sometimes if it's really juicy, I'll put two on there, and then I'll stack my next layer, and I'll just keep doing this, and then we'll go to the racks. All right, so I'll be back in just a minute and we'll continue on. All right, so I've got all my beef jerky here laid out and soaked up. So we're ready to start putting on the racks. I'm using an LEM dehydrator. Again, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I don't get any money for anything. So placing stuff on the racks, when I first started doing this, I was real leery about letting everything touch. It can touch or slightly overlap, because when this starts dehydrating, it's gonna shrink like crazy. So if it's slightly touching, now if you don't have a lot of meat to put on here, you can spread them out, and that probably will help them dry even a little faster. But if you have a good bit, then go ahead and put them in close. I'm gonna have plenty of room because I think I only have one more layer, so I don't have to be particularly, because I've got another rack. Mine's a 5 rack. I have made batches big enough that a 10 rack would have been nice, but if you fill up your racks and you have too much, you can always go back, put the rest of it back in the fridge, and wait till the other gets dehydrated and then do another batch. So not the end of the world if you don't get it all in one batch. So I'm just going to organize this here and arrange it. And if you have small pieces, just chuck them in the middle, kind of here, there, and yonder. That's what I usually do. Just kind of arrange them accordingly to where they might fit. And again, if they're touching another one, it's not a big deal because this stuff is going to shrink dramatically, okay, over the course of, this will probably go in for 6 hours, I would say. Would be a good time for this batch. So let's move that rack over and bring in the last rack. And like I said, if you have plenty of room, you can spread them around and probably helps a little bit more, but it doesn't really matter. Again, they're all going to dehydrate and they're all going to shrink up, and it's going to be delicious by the end, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm doing 3 different kinds this batch. We have the Peter Luger steak sauce. It's not really a marinade, it's a steak sauce, so we'll see how it works. I did a small batch for that because I didn't want to, in case it was terrible, I didn't want it to, I didn't want to waste a bunch of meat on that. So the rest of it, this is proven stuff that I've done, Dale's, and then this is my Ranko's original, which I've done quite a few times, so I know it'll be just fine. So that's what we do there. All right, so we got all that on there, and let's go put it in the dehydrator. All right, so we got our jerky here. We're going to work our way here into the brew room. There's my conical fermenters over there. This is where we brew our beer, and also where we dehydrate. So I'm going to put that rack in there. If I can do this one-handed. Is he talented enough? He does it. So we got the 5 racks in there. I'm going to actually turn it off and restart it. Set our time. Let's start 6 hours. And I'm running it wide open on this for jerky. And this is the LEM 5-rack system. If I can one-handedly get the door back on, yes. So it's basically got a heater, a circulator fan. Heater's in the back here, and then we'll circulate. And so we'll do that, and we'll check back on it here in about 6 hours. All right, everybody, so 6 hours. The dehydrator is done. So we're going to take off. So we've got, as you can see, everything is shrunk quite a bit. Got the Peter Luger stuff is down here on the bottom. So all I will do is take this and just put it in a Ziploc bag. And we are done. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this video of making jerky. I've put it all in bags now, and I hope this helps you out. If you want to make some jerky, comment below. Don't forget to subscribe and ding that bell, and it'll let you know when new videos come out. All right, have a great day, everybody.